up, YouTube? It's your boy Skinny Moose
White Fat Squirrel.
and the living legend XPW original homeless fucking Jimmy, the innovator of the sharpen carts for a death match.
Well, I was one of the innovators of deathmatch in California.
I'll take that. He was one of that. Yeah, you're an XPW original.
I was on the first card, the first match.
So he's an XPW. He was the innovator, one of the innovators for XPW. Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
So what made you become a wrestler?
Oh gosh, when I was a kid, about 5 years old, my neighbor's son would come over like once a week or once every couple of weeks. You know, he had whatever it was called, custody. You know, he had partial custody. So I would play with the kid, and one day he was like, "Hey, you want to watch wrestling with my dad?" I was like, "What's wrestling?" And that was it, man. I watched my first wrestling, and it had to have been I think just before WrestleMania, you know. So it was just kind of building up to that era, just before it. So it was just getting big at the time when I started watching it. But I was hooked, and then let's see, I have a cousin that was older than me, and him and his buddies used to sit there and watch wrestling, and then they would use me as the jobber. Basically, they would lift me around, toss me off the bed, you know, do all kinds of different things, you know, elbows and all that.
Yes, sir.
I was the dummy for a long time. I was the crash dummy, so that's what made me take it so well. You know what I mean?
I was watching another interview by you, and you said when you first started wrestling, they was telling you that you was too short and too small to do wrestling, and you wouldn't make to anything. And I'm like, now look at the man. He has this. Well, at the time, you had this. Do you still have the CCW title?
Crimson Crown for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
He still has the Crimson Crown title. Plus, he has the King of the Death Matches title.
Right.
So, for him to be a short guy, he's been in it 28 years.
I'm current champion for both companies.
I have to ask, since you have that belt, is it true that belt is fucking heavy? That's what everybody says. That belt's heavy as fuck.
Oh yeah, it's a real belt. Anybody I show it to, they're like, "Oh my god!" Their eyes get all big. They're like, "Wow, that is real." I'm like, "Duh, I don't do bullshit stuff."
No. This is real death matches. We don't joke and play.
I honestly, and I hate to sound prideful because anybody knows me, I'm actually a very humble person. I'll look at a person's belt and I'll be like, "Nah, bro, that looks kind of cheesy." You know, I can't really work for somebody that's not at that level, especially like now where I'm at. You know what I mean? If you ain't bringing names that are at least a little bit bigger than me to the plate, you know, it's hard for me to help you out. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't feel like I'm the big marquee, but you know, even though I've been on many, what is it called, main event matches, I still, I don't feel like anybody should be relying on me. So, I definitely like to go places where it has, you know, already kind of named people at least, you know what I mean? Like, CZW, when I went from XPW over to CZW for the first time, you know, I knew they were at the same caliber as us because they're in the same magazines that we are featured in. So it was like a no-brainer. Yeah, I'm going to work for you guys because you're right there. Why not? You know what I mean? At the time, I didn't think I'd never have thought of anybody else being, "Oh no, you're a different company," you know, kind of deal. You know what I mean? I was one of them first guys that would jump, didn't care what coast you're on, I'll go. You know what I mean?
I respect that. I respect that.
So, and actually the first ones that I wrestled for over there was ICP. For the first gathering of the Juggalos. Look it up. One of the very first, I believe it was, I know it was 2000, but I thought that was their first gathering. Somebody said, no, that was the second, but hey, oh my, I've taken a lot of chair shots throughout the years. But
I've watched
I could have the first, very first one, so.
I watched some of their gatherings, and I'm not really familiar or whatever with all their shows that they've ran, but
right.
I'm wanting to say that you was either on the first or second one. I really couldn't tell you, but you ought to know. I mean, you was obviously there.
I was on 3 of them, and I was at one of their Juggalo weekends. They had a Juggalo weekend in Las Vegas, so I did that too. So that was pretty dope. I love them guys.
One of my questions is actually about when you faced Chewy Martinez and lost the tip of your finger, or cut it really bad.
Actually, it's funny you asked that because I was just looking down at my finger when you said that, because I get these phantom little what do you call it, feelings.
Yeah, the nerves.
Yeah, so it points to that direction all the time. So I got that tattoo there, like a mechanical finger.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
And that one's the spirit of fuck. That's the one of spirit of fuck you.
I like that. That's cool as shit.
And then that's just one of the keys of life right there.
I like that. Shit, he's covered in tattoos.
And then that's a zombie finger. That means I'm dead to marriage.
I respect that.
I don't like 3 strikes you're out deal, because I believe that 3 strikes and you're dead, So 2 marriages, I was like, no, bye-bye. No more marriage.
Wow. I would have never thought that you would have been married more than once. I obviously heard that you had a girlfriend, but fuck, I thought that was like, some people call their wives their girlfriends.
I'm glad that rumor spreads. I'd hate for people to be spreading the other rumor. I don't know.
I respect that. Like, you know how wrestling is though, like something starts and then like the whole flipping world hears it. By the time the wrestler gets to address it, it's already out there. Like the wrestler don't even get to speak their mind. They're like, well, I've been on the show, the road for how many ever weeks. I've been flying and all this. I haven't had time to address it. Well, thank you for making your own theory on me.
Right. Yeah. Well, people always speculate. So when they don't know, they speculate. They fabricate what they don't understand. So that's how it is.
I've had a lot of assumptions made on me.
You got so many people in your business, but they really don't know what's going on. They have to start coming up with something, because then you're just boring. You know what I mean? Then they're not worth talking about. So if they're coming up with bullshit and talking about you, as long as it ain't the truth, don't worry about it. Right? Let the haters talk and let them keep on spreading your name. Either way,
publicity is publicity.
Exactly.
Have you ever wrestled internationally?
Internationally? What do you mean? Internationally?
He's been in Japan and parts of Mexico.
Yeah, I've been to Japan, Mexico several times. I wrestled in Japan. I wrestled in Japan twice. I've been there 3 times, but the third time was to try and do some silly show, which didn't come out. But yeah. I wrestled there twice. One for FMW, and then the other company. I don't really remember what company it was. It was a small outfit, and it was kind of like a no-ring wrestling company. That was my first time ever doing a no ring wrestling. So that was a trip. I got hit with the chainsaw over there at that time.
Oh shit!
Took a chainsaw to the head. Look it up. It should be somewhere on the internet about it.
Yeah, I know he went to Japan, and I know he's been to Mexico, but I ain't felt shit on him in Mexico.
Yeah, I went to Mexico a couple times, but it was mostly like the border companies, like Tijuana companies. It was for Rey Mysterio Senior. Rey Mysterio's uncle
Yeah,
when he
Big
was
Ray.
wrestling, when he was wrestling for XPW at the time. He had a small company he was working for. So whatever company that was, it's hard to, when you work for so many companies like this is A2W. These are a company my friends have, Mr. Insanity and Deranged.
Toby Klein.
Yep. Oh yeah, those guys. They started their little company. It's not quite as big as other ones, but they got their own little company. So when you work for so many companies, it's really hard to remember what their names are. So
It's funny that you mentioned.
I try to
Sorry.
remember the big names. GCW, I wrestled for them in the beginning twice. So now, as big as they are, I should be in their Hall of Fame because I helped start their company. At least 2 shows. I beat Matt Tremont, and then I wrestled. Shoot, sorry for forgetting your name. I know his name, Grant. Grant.
Danny Havoc.
Danny Havoc. Thank you. I was getting JCB. I was trying to every other name was coming up in my head. I wrestled Danny Havoc. So yeah. Yeah. So GCW is a big name I wrestled for. CZW, FMW, XPW. I wrestled for Crimson Crown for quite some time, and I helped UEW out for many years. And now XPW actually owns UEW, or part of UEW. They're
That's
merging,
why.
which is cool.
That's why I seen that they was although the catalogs is going to XPW, and I was like, Rob Black now has a hand in that. Maybe we can get UEW to resurface and fight XPW.
Right.
So how did you get your nickname, Homeless Jimmy?
Well, when I came back, a quick story that a lot of people don't know about my true past is I was American born, but I was raised in a different country. So the story of Homeless Jimmy that they started for XPW was loosely based on my real life. I was actually a soldier for the Israeli military. I was in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. I was a driver for the Special Forces. So I grew up over there in Israel for 12 and a half years. Served the Israeli army. My mom had moved back like a year before I did. And so, I was destined to come back to the States.
I understand
But I finished serving, and then when I came back, I was basically jumping around from place to place, on friends, people that I met. I would sleep, on the couch, my family, my mom's house. I couldn't stay there very much because she was always in the assistant living. So I was just jumping around a lot of places. And when another quick story again, go back a little bit. You asked me how did I become, or why I wanted to be a wrestler. I'll tell you how I became.
There he is.
We're back on? Yeah,
Yes,
sorry, it's a connection. Probably this wormhole I live in. My bedroom has like it's probably because I'm homeless Jimmy. I shouldn't be in a house. This isn't real.
I understand that. Yeah, like I was expecting you to be like outside or like in a vehicle or something. You be sitting there in the house. I'm like, that's mind blowing.
Actually, I actually live in my room. I do have my food. My food is right here on the shelf right next to me. So I got a place. I just got a place to stay. That's about it. I'm still homeless. I don't own the home myself.
Hey, at least he's out of the cold weather now these days. That belt,
hate the cold, but hey, I was telling you the story, right?
Yes, sir.
So when I came back from Israel, I went to go and visit a gentleman who was like an adopted dad to me in the first beginning of my life. And he goes, "So now that you're back, what do you want to do?" I go, "Oh, I got to get a job and stuff." And he goes, "Yeah, everybody needs to do that. If you're an adult, people get a job." He goes, "What's your hobbies? What's your ambition? What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "Well, I wanted to be a wrestler ever since I saw, a neighbor of mine and whatever." And he was like, "Wow." He says, "Remember my nephew Darren?" And I said, "No, not really, because I left his home when I was about 5.5 years old, so I didn't remember much. And then I went to Israel when I was 8, so I lived there for 2.5 years. So memory doesn't hold very long when you're growing up and stuff,
Yeah, that's faint.
When you have friends or people that are adopted you, family, it was hard for me to remember. But anyways, he says, well, the cool thing is he teaches wrestling here in Sun Valley. It was almost like it was almost kind of like a miracle thing, happened. It was almost like the sky opened up. It was like, oh, that's what I wanted to do. And his nephew teaches wrestling here in Sun Valley, California. I'm like, boom, are you kidding me? And here's, here's the phone number, go call him up. So I called Dynamite up and, they invited me that weekend to go see a show, watch the show, and then he said, "So how'd you like it?" I said, "I loved it." He goes, "When do you want to start?" I said, "Yesterday," and that was it. The next week I was training to be a pro wrestler, and the main head guy said that you have to be here at least a year or sometimes 2 years before you start doing a show. Well, it took me 9 months to get my pro card.
Oh yeah.
That was actually officially made back in December '95 was when I was official. We put it in the almanac and book of wrestling.
So I have to ask for the viewers and everything. When you first started, I know you had multiple names like Jimmy the homeless guy, and then that didn't settle, so the fans started calling you Homeless Jimmy. But
Right. Well,
what's it?
I was going to get back to that story to let you know where I got the name from, because that was the other question you asked. So
Yes, sir.
it was kind of like a rib at first, because when my cousin sold his company that he had to Rob Black, Rob wanted to change some of the people's gimmicks. He wanted some new gimmicks that he had already come up with in his head. So he had ideas, and really worked for me at first. So it was kind of like last minute thing. They're like, "Fuck, what are we gonna do with this guy?" And White Johnny Webb, he'd known me since from classes, from slammers, from the school. And he goes, "Well, he's practically a bum. He goes and sleeps around at places. He's like a homeless guy." And Rob's eyes got all big, and he goes, "That's it. We're gonna call him Jimmy Homeless Guy."
Oh,
So that was it, and I grew the persona because I was wanting to grow my hair long, because I had short hair when I was in the military, and I knew my uncle and family members were bald, so I knew I didn't have a long time to have hair. So I basically wanted to grow my hair out, and it fit the character. And then I let the beard grow a little bit, and when I started losing hair, I started growing more beard.
I understand that.
The names came about with when I first started with Slammers. My first wrestling name, my gimmick was Jimmy James.
Jimmy James.
And I didn't really care for that. It was all right, but when my cousin Dynamite D ended up leaving Slammers and starting his own company, I went over and started working for him, and I came up with the character called the Skull Crusher, J.J. Floyd. Why Floyd? I love Pink Floyd, so I just had to give it a last name, and it sounded catchy, J.J. Floyd. And the J.J. was the Jimmy James, which could have, gone anyway. And I
Yeah.
was the Skull Crusher. And then I also did another masked character, a hooded character where I came out. It was called the Creeper, which was pretty cool. I like that. But when Rob ultimately bought SCCW, he changed it to XPW, and he said, "There's no way in hell I look like a Skull Crusher." You know, I guess Skull Crushers have to be 6 foot, 9, and
Well,
built like Big Papa Pump. I guess he should have been the Skull Crusher.
that's mind blowing because I mean, like, I know plenty of. I guess it's the way that Rob Black's got that older mindset where he's been in it so damn long. But I mean, like, I could see you being. Yeah, I think that would fit you perfectly considering like everything you've fucking done. And uh, I was
Well,
watching it.
I wish I had some pictures. I don't know where. I have to go through so much junk in here to look for my album. I should have been ready. But I have, I actually went all out. When I do a gimmick, I like to find everything that goes with it. And I started with Skull Crusher. I had the singlet. I had a leather jacket that had skulls on. I pinned little pewter skulls on it, and then I came out with a stick that had it was it wasn't resin, but it wasn't like foam. It was like one of that hard foam that they mold, whatever, but it was a skull. So I shoved a stick into that, and then I wrapped the bottom with barbed wire, and I used to carry that with me to the ring, and
Yeah.
and so I was developing the character. I could have fit the role anyhow, because acting's in my blood. So people want to know, and you could start recording this, but people want to know why I'm so refreshed and so vigor in the ring at 50 years old. I'm still kicking ass. It's because I take care of myself outside of that. You know what I'm saying? Anybody tell you? Anybody feel? I got forearms. See those forearms? I got mighty forearms. Anybody will tell you those are like solid rock. Okay, it ain't no joke. I'm actually, not to pat myself on the shoulder, but I'm one of those elite people that you will meet and never probably meet again.
Yes, sir.
Because I've walked backwards more than people walked forwards today. I served
Yes,
the
sir.
Israeli. But you see the war that's going on in the Gaza Strip.
The war over there in Israel, and you got Russia fighting Ukraine, and
I was in that. I was deep in that. I was
oh shit,
right in the Gaza Strip, and one of my friends, one of my good best friends, is still over there right now serving the military.
oh
And
shit.
I don't know what your beliefs are, but don't believe the hype, because Israel is not the bad people in this. When they say free Palestine, do you know who the Palestinians are? They're the same people that are lobbing those missiles. Those people live there. Those people worship their God right from there, and they lob the missiles and they kill the Jews that live peacefully next to them. That's all they do, is they go after the peaceful people, and then when they get their shit shoved back up their ass, then they sit there and start going, we made a mistake. And then they go, oh, look at the bad Israel is attacking us. Well, sorry, you could only push a pit bull in the corner so much until that fucking little dog starts biting, no matter how little it is. And Israel is a small country, and they've been
Ain't
fighting.
Israel
They've been
God's
fighting,
country?
huh? Is
Ain't
that God?
Israel God's country?
Well,
And
yeah, if you go back in biblical times, okay, the Jews were not really Jews, were Hebrew. The Hebrew children of God were sent into the land of Judea. So we became Jews because they called us Jews because we lived in that area, right? So it was kind of more of a, today it's actually more of a derogatory remark, but us Jews like wipe it off, you know what I'm saying? You can talk all the shit you want, but when it comes down to it, only the truth should hurt.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's not get political here because you'll get me going on that shit. But just so you know, just so people know, okay, I do not condone war or fighting, but I will protect the innocent, and Israel has been innocent this whole time. Israel just wants to be left alone in harmony with other people around them. They gave back and they gave back. They built that city for them. They built Gaza for those people, for the Palestinians. Okay? And Palestinians want to tell you all they want. The British came up with that name. They're no different than the Jews that live there. They're all Judeans. They all live in the same God place, you know. It is what it is. It's never gonna end. So, but that's why I'm back here. That's why I'm back here in the good, loving United States, where we have red versus blue, and all that BS going on over here.
I'm actually, and I'll blow your mind, I'm actually 90% native, 95%. I just took my mother's skin tone. Like, I'm mostly native, so, like, when it comes to religion, I mean, like, I grew up in a Baptist household, but also on the side point, I also know my native gods because I'm native. But also, I do have pagans in my family from, like, actual back in the day. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm religious or not. Like, I believe in God, but I also believe in my native gods. But also, I know a lot about Norse pagan gods. So I'm like, I'm here at a screeching halt,
Yeah, well, don't screech and halt, because actually the more you become susceptible, the more you open your mind, the more you realize that it's not so much about the religion or what the outside people believe in. It's what it's about. Okay, all religions should be about peace and harmony and getting along with each other. You know what I mean? Most gods and but see, you got these people that want to control other people. And unfortunately, you got people like the Arab people. A lot of Arab people take the Quran, for instance, and they make it what they want it to be. They turn it into what they want it to be. You understand? Just like your preacher or your pastor or your rabbi or your minister or your sheik, whatever they call their high mucky mucks, you know what I mean? And the only true religion today that I know of that hasn't tried to push and involve other people is Buddhism. Buddhism just likes to be left alone again in harmony. Same thing with Jews. Jews are the same thing. You know what the Jews' idealistic is? Okay, if you're not Jewish, do your own thing. You know what I mean? If you want to sit there and eat at my table, you can eat at my table, but I'm not going to, I don't expect the same because I believe in a certain way. You know what I mean? So that's the way they always go ahead. Do your own thing. You know what I mean?
Speaking on that, I got two things. One, I love how you come out with the little scratchy thing, when you come out to the ring. And when Rob Black first started working you, he wanted you to be like some Nazi guy, didn't he? And you was like, no, I can't do that. I have family and you're Jewish yourself, or at the time you was, and you was like, I can't do that, Rob Black.
Again, I don't really, for the layman terms, I'm Jewish. But I'm Hebrew. I'm half. If I did my DNA and it says 50% Jewish, but I'm also primarily also on the other part of me is Scottish. So yeah.
I prefer to vape than smoke. I really do.
Yeah, it's the same shit, man. You're clogging your fucking shit up.
That was my worst mistake. I used to dip from the time I was like little kid all the way up until I was 18.
Right.
And then I made that mistake working in a restaurant. I worked at McDonald's, and then I was like, I started smoking, and I honestly got to tell you, that was my worst mistake that I ever done. And now I don't even know if I've put a dip in, and I don't think my gums will hold up to let me do it. I got to go to the dentist and get my teeth redone and all that shit.
I wouldn't do that either. Yeah, see, man, you guys, and unfortunately, you got, if you're got mostly native blood, then you got an an addictive nature. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I'm not
Yep,
saying a bad thing about it, but that it is what it is. It's in
yep,
your bloodline. So again, remember, the mind is a powerful thing. You could do what you want with your mind. You just have to control yourself. You have to focus on what you want and what you know is good for you. You know, does your body really want that, or is it your brain telling you so? Do you really want that addiction of putting something in your mouth that you keep on doing that with? You know, I say that, I could be a hypocrite because I'm smoking these stupid vape things, and these are bad for you too. By far worse than just doing a bowl, but you know, I'm a lazy SOB, and that's all I
they're
do though.
much funner. You get a funner outcome out of those.
I also know how to balance the difference, you know what I'm saying? So I drink a lot of like hot liquids to help clear out my congestion, you know what I'm saying? Plus I do every morning I do hot shower meditations. So before I go to bed, I take a nice regular shower, like a normal person, soap, water. But in the morning, I would make sure I get up extra early, depending on what time I have to get up. I'll do another hour ahead of time so I have enough time, and I take a good, nice hot shower meditation. So I turn off the lights, close your eyes, put your hands on the wall, and let the water go around, and you move your head back and forth. As you feel the water, you should start feeling a tingling in your body, a sensation, and the goosebumps let you know that power in you is working. Our body is made of water. Hot water helps expand your body and releases those chemicals. So you're letting all the negative out. Okay. Our mind also controls so much of our body. So you also have to think in your mind that you're doing that. You're washing away all your negative, your pains, your sorrows, your hurts, whatever's hurting and bothering you. And you got to let it go. And you watch it roll down that drain, and bam, watch how refreshed and tight you feel every day when you walk out. And before you go out, you want to kind of lessen the water. If you're like me, and I'd like to do nice, real hot showers, I kind of slowly go down to where it's kind of lukewarm, coldish water, not too cold, but not, you want to close the session off, you know what I mean? And then step out. And if you have let's say your elbow's hurting, you got something going on with your elbow, make sure you take that shower head and you just go back and forth and concentrate while you're doing that, And I do it every day, all the time. And when I don't, I feel like shit. So that's one of my secrets that I just shared with y'all. But back to wrestling, right? We're talking about wrestling.
Yes, sir. How did it feel winning the XPW King of the Deathmatch belt?
What is it? How did it feel
How did
winning?
it feel to win the XPW King of the Deathmatch belt? I mean, like, you've been it. You was one of the originals, so like that's a half question.
Well, yeah, that's 25 years in the making. It was pretty surreal. I knew it was going to happen because when I felt like I was ready to come back to XPW, I knew it was the time. I had a lot of years under my belt away from XPW, many years. I did a lot of, Japan and the East Coast. I wrestled a lot for a lot of small outfits out there, Bumpin' Uglies, and God, I can't remember the everybody's ABCDXYZs federations, but I did a lot
Yeah,
of small, no backyard, but just a lot of small things. Shasta, I worked for a guy named Shasta, another guy, Rhett Smiley, all these people I wrestled for, but I just don't keep all the little company names. It was just hard for me to do it. I should have like taken flyers from every company, to remember, but you don't always think ahead of time.
I understand that.
Yeah. That's one of the things I try to tell younger generations that, make sure you do take enough memorabilias from what the things that you do, whether it be pictures, autographs, the flyer of the show, a ticket, something to carry along your memory or your legacy throughout the years. Because I have a lot of people, especially in California, out here, when I left in 2002, everybody thought that I was it. I disappeared from the world. They didn't know shit that I was going and wrestling in Ohio. I wrestled in Detroit, wrestled in Philadelphia, wrestled all over the East Coast over there. But nobody knew that because they're not all these big companies, and it wasn't shared as much as it is today. A lot of this success today for people is due to the fact that we could do these podcasts and stuff like that, more exclusive stuff, and fans are a lot wiser today than they were back in the day. So
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Squirrel.
What advice would you give someone breaking into business?
Breaking into business?
Yeah. What advice would you give them?
Take every opportunity that's given to you, no matter the circumstances of your personal life. If you decide this is what you want to do, you should go in there full heart, and everything else should not matter at that point, especially if you're young, you know what I mean? And if you don't have already made kids and stuff like that. I didn't have a small family or anything to worry about it, and I'll tell you the one regret that I have in my wrestling career. One regret. I really don't have any other regrets than this one, and it was when Bruce Hart from the Hart Foundation from Stampede came down to one of the XPW shows. And at the end of the night, he took me to dinner. We were at Denny's or somewhere, and he was like, "Hey, we're interested in using you up in Stampede." And I go, "Isn't that in Canada?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, my mom's kind of sick, and it is kind of cold, so I'm sorry. It's a no for me." Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I wish I had a boot over here because I would kick myself in the ass again. That was a dumb thing for me to do. That was an opportunity of a lifetime, and and that's a regret that I have to live with because had I taken that, but I had a lot of other things that I was thinking of too. My cousin and friends that I had started wrestling with in the business were in XPW. We all started XPW together. So in my mind, it's like, well, I know you guys are bigger, but I want to stay here and make them big. You know what I mean? I don't want to leave them and to go and venture to Canada and maybe make a name for myself in Canada. Whereas here I'm trying to make a name for not just me, but my whole company. You know what I mean? Not my company, but I was helping start the whole company. You get it? And that's my mentality. That's why that was another main reason. I used my mom as an excuse, and I used the fact that I hate cold weather, so it all fell apart, and that's what I did. So one of my advices for you there, Squirrel, is that you definitely, if you get a chance, seize that opportunity and go for it. You know what I mean? Because you never know where it's going to take you. You shoot for the stars, because if you don't hit them stars, you could always hit the moon. And you're one step above the earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How did it feel to have Terry Funk as a referee?
Oh my God. The history of Terry Funk, Terry Funk was actually a mentor and trainer of my cousin Dynamite D. So
Oh
uh,
shit.
getting to see him actually at Go Funk Yourself before he was the referee. He was actually at Go Funk Yourself for XPW, and he took a liking to me there. And when I took that dive off of the balcony, he pushed everybody aside, and he was like, he says, son, you got to stop doing those kind of stunts. And I go, why? And he goes, because you won't have a longevity in this business. And I go, well, there's the pot calling the kettle black. And he goes, he laughed, and he goes, everybody, I don't know who was listening because I was bloody, and I had just taken a dive off of the balcony. I guess they said it was about 20 something, and we said it was 30 feet off the thing. It was probably about 25, but wrestling, you have to add a couple feet.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it was still off the loge section. I mean, that was pretty damn high. You look down and people were like this big. You're up there, high up there. But anyways, so he goes, everybody look around. He goes, you see this guy? He's the younger, shorter version of Mick Foley. And that was the biggest thing I've ever, biggest moment in my life was having him say that. I mean, it just comparing me to somebody that great in my life, from my life, my past, watching these guys growing up. I'm like, yeah, wow, you're comparing me to a legend. That's pretty great. And then, yeah, to do the XPW show that we did, I don't remember if it was Cold Day in Hell, and yeah, he raised my hand in victory, so that was awesome.
Yeah, you also took a crazy ass bump with in Tournament of Death with Sick Nick Mondo.
Yes.
Plus, you took a crazy ass bump when you faced Supreme.
Yeah.
And on that balcony, and you fucking fell off. I was like, oh shit.
Right.
I mean, matter of fact, I actually have a question. I noticed that you like to fly around, and you're like a high flyer and very skilled at it. And coming off of high dives and stuff, is that your thing?
Coming off the what? High
Coming
dive?
off like going
Yeah.
off high spots. Is that your thing? I
Yeah,
kind of noticed that it is.
It always has been. I'll share a little secret. My mom just passed away, but she was a circus performer for Ringling Brothers. Back years and years ago, she used to ride the elephants and wear the big costumes. But she also filled in for the girls when one of the girls got sick or injured. Doing the trapeze, my mom would do that too.
Oh
So
shit! So you
got a lot of that shit from my mom.
fuck yeah, you was like you. So you grew up around the circus and your mom, so that's where you learned it from. That's pretty fucking cool. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I got a long history and background.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Squirrel.
I was watching. It was an old XPW show, I believe. What was it like being in a tag team match with Sabu?
Well, that was pretty cool. I like Sabu. Pretty interesting person. He's definitely a character, but once you get to know him, he's a pretty cool person. In the ring, no, I'm glad I was his partner, not not his enemy, because he ain't no joke. He's like that backstage and everything too. If you don't like you get away from him, So, but yeah, an amazing person, and what an amazing opportunity to be able to do that, and to tag with somebody that I actually had posters of this guy on my wall when I was, a teenager, because in Israel, I used to go all the time and pick up magazines. I had all the wrestling magazines over in Israel, and then I would cut out the pictures and paste them on my wall. And it was my wall was kind of like my wishing board or whatever they call it, you know. I looked at those
understand
things, and that's what I wanted to do every day. And Sabu was one of those people I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be one of the crazy motherfuckers because I knew I was crazy anyways. I did all kinds of shit. I learned how to ride horses. I'm a professional horse rider. I learned how to drive military vehicles. I learned how to drive them professionally. I know how to do the pit maneuvers. I know how to drive Jeeps on the staircases in the sand dunes and stuff like that. I drove half tracks, which is the big trucks with the half of it is a tank in the back. You
Fuck
know,
yeah.
I
I'm
rode.
over here live on the Outlaw Mud Show, the Facebook group going live, and I'm like looking over like, do y'all hear this fucking shit? It's amazing. You're over here just these stories are blowing my mind, sir.
Right. Well, you know, like I said, I wish I was a little more prepared. I would have had some photo album to reach over and grab. I only put my belts here. I wasn't thinking about anything else but wrestling, but
Can we get,
yeah.
can we get the details on the Ryder Truck incident, him versus you versus Sick Nick Mondo, the process, like whose idea was it? I want the whole 9 yards if you can. That was fucking insane.
All right. So I drove up with Mr. Insanity, and I want to say it was not. It might have been Deranged, and gosh, I don't want to say whatever. Mr. Insanity, I know was there. I can't remember who else was with us because we met Necro Butcher up there. But anyways, yeah, they approached me. It was Zandig, right? That's his name, Zandig, right?
Yeah, John Zendig.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm saying Zandig right, not Danzig. I always mix that up. Zandig. Zandig and Nick Mondo walked up and introduced themselves real quick and said, "Hey, we're trying to put stuff together. How you think about going off this Ryder truck?" And I said, "Yep, sure." And they're like, "What? You didn't want to look at? You didn't want to look at it or talk it over?" I go, "No, go ahead, we'll do it."
The hell? Did you think it would be that insane though?
I don't. I guess I don't think about that. You know, I just do it. I don't. Yeah, I didn't think about anything
It
insane.
blew my mind. That was fucking cool. I had to write that question. I was like, wait a minute, he just went off that. I'm like, and then I watched you in UWE when you went off with JD Hort
Yeah,
outside, and Sage Sin jumped you, and then you and JD took it outside. That's
yeah.
where I got the question. You flying off my high spots. I'm like, this guy's fucking amazing. He kills it.
If you look at the timeline, because they had to actually split that match up into two when they put it on YouTube, because it was like an hour long. That whole match from beginning to end was about an hour long.
It was long. I watched it on IWTV.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize how long that went. Just smashing by tubes over each other.
You two mingled each other, and then Sage got in there and she jumped you, and then you two went back to destroying each other. It was a hell of a. It was a run for your money. I bet.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was pretty intense. But the fall, going back on there, not trying to spoil too much for the non novice people to the wrestling world, but I set up that spot, and the late great Supreme was there at the time, and I was up at the top talking to JD Horror, kind of planning things out ahead of time. I saw Supreme down there moving my table. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, you're supposed to have it this way." I go, "I'm doing the stunt. I set up the table. Go ahead and mind your own business."
I respect that. Like, you gotta have the table. Like, if you're doing it and you're putting your body through it, it's gonna go the way that I want it specifically. And so, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, God loves Supreme. He would do his own thing, but yeah, you know, it was pretty cool. Like I said, I've been doing crazy stuff like that since I was a kid. I scared the crap out of my mom one time. I climbed up to our we lived on the second floor, and I just used the sides of the windows. They had like this I don't know, like um concrete, but it had like little tiny stones in it, so it was rough to hold on to. But I shimmied myself up to the second window, and my mom was cooking spaghetti, and I knocked on the window, and then as she turned around, I jumped down, like from the second floor. I just jumped all the way down, just let go, and it scared the shit out of her. Spaghetti went everywhere and stuff. And then she called me upstairs and said, "You see what you did?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you." She goes, "Well, you're going to eat that." And I ate it. Thankfully, my mom was pretty clean. She always kept the floors. She had tile floors in the kitchen, so she kept her kitchen nice and clean. So I didn't mind. I knew it wasn't shitty, It was just me and her and her cat. So, yeah. I scared the crap out of her from doing that stunt. It was funny.
Go ahead, squirrel.
And Crimson Cup 3, how did it feel when Tremont used the cheese grater on you?
Oh, yeah, cheese graters could be messed up. If they're not done right, you could end up losing a lot of skin over that.
Jeez.
But I can't complain because I used that on Vic Grimes. I whacked him pretty good with it too. If you watched King of the Death Match, where I come running and swinged it and hit him in the head with it before I grated it on his head. So yeah, cheese grater's nothing. Bob wire's pretty cool. Anybody
Razor
ask
wires.
my favorite weapon to use is bob wire. I love bob wire. You either use it on me or be used. I'll wrap that son of a bitch around my arm.
Use it on me. Fuck no. Fuck no. I ain't using no barbed wire.
Well, I'm not talking about razor wire. I'm talking about bob wire. They used to have when I was in the military. There was a couple of times I ended up in the brig, in like jail kind of, and they actually had to put razor wire around us because we're crazy enough to crawl through that regular barbed wire shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, when they're setting stuff up at places, usually they call me to help the boys out, wrap that shit up because I ain't afraid to, yank on it.
I don't blame you. Like, I don't blame them. Like, if I need a intense spot setup, I'm calling Homeless Jimmy.
Right?
How does it feel to be one of the longest reigning legends and to still be going?
I try not being prideful. I got to knock on wood here. Again, I use my mental brain to help heal myself and keep me at bay. I'm not the best. I'm not the biggest or strongest, but I do believe that the power of the mind is what you need to succeed in life, and keeping healthy and bouncing back. Like I said, I got hit in the head with a running chainsaw. And I survived that and continued on. I actually had another match the next day. All they did was super glue me.
What was the story behind the chainsaw?
Chainsaw Tony. Have you ever heard of him?
Over in Japan?
Well, he's wrestled in FMW Japan. He's been in a few other places. I think he's in the United States now, but yeah. Look up Chainsaw Tony. And he had the chainsaw We were all brawling in this little room. There's cameramen and fans and referees and God knows who else was in the room with a bunch of wrestlers going at it. I got hit with the chair. He got hit with the chair. We're both now on the floor. I got a chainsaw going na 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 like that, facing right at me, right?
Oh, fuck.
And the guy that paid for me to go over there, I don't even remember what his name is right now. I only have Onita's head in my head for some reason. Oh gosh. Anyways, one of the Japanese guys grabbed my head and just pushed it right into the chainsaw. You know, no rehearsal, no agreeing on anything like that. But the chainsaw was not meant to be a gimmick to be used because it actually had the chains on it. It wasn't, yeah, actually real chain on a real chainsaw.
You could have died. What the hell? They trying to put death into death matches.
They're trying to kill homeless Jimmy in Japan.
Exactly. Sounds about like it.
But hey, if the Palestinians didn't do it, what makes the Japanese think they're going to do it?
Well, there's your answer. You ain't going to kill homeless Jimmy. You ain't going to kill homeless Jimmy.
No, only homeless Jimmy's going to do that.
Yeah. I don't even think I don't even think homeless Jimmy's able to kill his own damn self. He's just going to be resurrected like 5 minutes later.
I don't have that mental stability to do that kind of crazy shit. That's in a different level of craziness. That's not kind of crazy that I am.
Let me put it like this. If Slack didn't do it, then ain't no wrestler going to do it.
What's that?
If Slack didn't put you out of, like, kill you or whatever.
Right.
Then I don't think anybody can, because we've interviewed multiple people, and they said for his size, he will work, and he is one of the hardest fucking hitters, and that's their exact words.
Yeah, well, he got a couple of receipts, so yeah.
I would like to interview Slack and ask him about you and him going at it.
Yeah, I'll let him let you know. Let him tell if he goes and tells the truth or not. Like I said, I don't have all my pictures are stored in my phone, so I really don't know how to share pictures here for you guys. But there's only one time in my whole wrestling career that I've actually had two black eyes.
Oh shit! Where was I from?
One was the match with Schlack, and one was when I won the FMW Tag Team Championships for me and Supreme in Japan. Well, I didn't win. He made the pin, but if you look at
how many fighting styles do you know? I know you know 3 of them.
Okay, what do you know that I know?
I know you know, like, I want to say karate.
Okay, I did Shotokan karate, but I did something before that.
Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu or something like that.
No.
One of them starts with a T.
No, first thing I did was judo. I did that. I did judo from 9 until I was like 10 and a half. Then I did Shotokan karate from 12 until I was about 15. And then I did Shaolin Kung Fu Tiger Style when I was, I want to say 16 until I went into the military when I was 19. And that's with my best friends that I'll share those, some of my pictures with you. That one of them, ironically, is still in the military now, Mario. But anyways, I did Kung Fu before I went into the Israeli army. And then in the Israeli army, I did Krav Maga. Krav Maga is Israeli it's basically self-defense. It's, by any means necessary, defend yourself. So by defending, you also want to make sure you learn how offense, to offend yourself, to offend the person trying to offend you. So if you're a good defender, you could also, and offender, you put the two together. Most people that come and attack you only have one mindset. They're coming to attack. So they just learn attacking. Fighting is normally somebody that learns to attack you. But if you train to be a defensive person before you learn to be an attacker, you learn to defend yourself. While you're defending yourself, you're also now learning how to attack at the same time. Bam, you got success right there. But most people, like I said, most people that learn that kind of technique know in their mind they don't have to fucking go and fight you. They're not going to go, and you're not going to see me go try and pick in fights with people because I know I'm going to whoop your ass.
Yeah. With everything that you know, yeah. Honestly, if we could ever get you for a part 2, I need a part 2 with you because I got like 30 questions straight up.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I understand.
With losing my mom in the beginning of the year, and now my adopted dad is, shortly behind. He's in, intensive care, or he was in the ER this morning. So I'm not sure if they moved him back to intensive care or not, but he's not doing well. So yeah, we'll have to definitely do another part 2. For
Yes,
sure.
sir.
You guys talking. Squirrel needs to speak up a little bit more.
That's one of the things about an interview. Like, he's just so fucking quiet. It irks me.
That's all right. That's all right. You guys have it together, so.
Thank you.
I just got one, sir.
Oh yeah.
Out of all places you have wrestled, where would you say you got the loudest crowd reaction at?
Probably California. Yeah. Any of my California fans, when I came back here, I got one of the biggest crowd pops I've ever had.
Fuck yeah.
Even some of the smallest crowds popped for me pretty good. So, but if you want to compare size now, I guess biggest one was 8,000 in Tokyo Dome for FMW.
Jesus.
That was pretty big for me, I thought. And then XPW had I think 2,000 at the arena. I'm not sure which, if it was at the arena or if it was at the Coliseum. I can't remember which one we did, or one of them. I know we had a couple of them that were pretty up there crowd wise, but.
So one of your fans wants to know what's next for Homeless Jimmy, considering you've done it all just about.
Well, I really want to get over to like England and Australia. I'd really like to sink my teeth into the other two big, countries that are doing stuff like this. And I also heard that now Scotland just started a deathmatch company that Big Joe FX was over there. And somebody else I know just went over there, I think. But it's like, I've never been one to ask, so I don't know how to get myself booked all over the place. But I'd like to go, like I said, England definitely, Australia. If you guys are listening, hey, I'm here.
We do have England and Australian promoters that watch us. So Bateman runs Deathmatch Down Under over there in Australia. Is it Danny Dorkity? I know I said his damn name wrong, but Danny Dorkity or whatever. How do you say his name? Shit, he runs over there in Rise over there in England.
Okay.
So I talked to Jack Harrop a lot. He's a
That's not Danny Demento you're talking about, right?
no, but I do have a question about Denny DeMano.
Demano. Okay, I can't remember how he say his last name, but yeah, go ahead. What's the question?
Um, Actually, I want to go ahead and ask you another fan question because there's a lot of theories about this one. What's your thoughts on the feud between you and White Trash Johnny Webb?
What's my thoughts? What's that now?
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
What are your thoughts on the feud between you and White Trash Johnny Webb? Your feud that you had with him.
It was close to being real.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I've when I first came back to the wrestling school, he was actually just started, and I don't know if you guys know the term being rookied, but
Yeah.
when you're a rookie, you get razzed a lot and stuff. So White Trash Johnny Webb was the rookie, and when he saw me, he made a comment to one of my buddies that knew me pretty well, and he goes, "Oh, look, I finally got a rookie." And he goes, "What are you talking about? That's Jimmy." And all the other people, when they saw me, everybody started screaming my name, Jimmy, yeah, it's Jimmy James, Jimmy, Jimmy. And before you know it, White Trash Johnny Webb was over there peering at me, and he wasn't liking me. And the first moves that we did, he did a butterfly suplex on me, but didn't let go of my arms, and he drove me right on my head. And
What the
uh,
fuck are you the greenhorn?
as a
And he didn't know what to do.
it was green. Yeah, that's probably part of it, but that was kind of our beginning of our, heat and rivalry that we had. Um, Honestly, I've tried talking to him before. He's kind of a quiet person, so, and very discreet about what he says and stuff. So I keep it to a minimum too. We're pretty good, I think a lot of times because I'm a Cancer too, so a lot of times I take things a little bit harder than I should have, especially when I was younger and I didn't know how to control some of those kind of things in my head. When I saw somebody acting a certain way, I figured, oh, this guy doesn't like me. So I probably uh, fabricated a lot of it in my head, but it turned out that one way or the other, I think he hated on me because I was just a little bit more popular than him, you know, and it was because I put my body on the line. I wasn't afraid to do anything. I did all the high diving, getting tossed into anything you want, kind of deal. So it is,
Exactly.
and the fans, you can't force the fans to like somebody that you can change their gimmick and their character all you want. They're still not going to like you if you don't have that persona. And that's one of the things that another, to answer your question from before, what would be my advice? One is always, give back to the fans, regardless if you're a bad guy or you're a good guy, if you're a face or a heel. The giving that eye contact, the acknowledgement, that acknowledgement, like Roman Reigns wants the acknowledgement,
Yeah.
acknowledge, acknowledging the fans, whether you're a good guy or you're a bad guy, whether you go up to this to do that to them, or if you're over there fist bumping them, you're acknowledging the fans. And when you do that, the fans acknowledge you back, and you start getting more popular because they're like, "Oh my God, he looked at me. Did you see that, Dad? He just looked at me, man. You just
Oh,
got
yeah, that's
you got."
definitely.
You get what I'm saying? So that's definitely, always give back to the people that are giving to you. And that's why I love the fans, because they gave me everything I am now. Even the
Uh,
name, like you were saying before, it was Homeless Jimmy. Yeah, it started as Jimmy the Homeless Guy. That's what they labeled me as. And from there, I went to and I picked up Homeless Jimmy because that's what the fans were chanting. So if that's what they're calling me, that's who I am.
Yeah. Since ICW NHB brought you out of retirement, why didn't you stay with them?
Well, because of the guy that we were mentioning before, Danny, I guess he just didn't think that he wanted to use me anymore. I called him up. I hit him up a few times when I heard that Schlack had backed out. I hit him up and I said, hey, I could fill that spot. And he said I was pretentious for asking for a spot. Said he thought I was being pretty pretentious, asking for that spot when his boys were there to do things for him, whatever. I'm like, it is what it is. I'm not, again, I don't beg people for spots or anything like that. They come to me and they ask me, they want me. But then when I give it to them, they're like, hold on a second. It is what it is. That's my life. They wanted Jimmy so bad, but then when they got him, they're like, it's Jimmy.
Well, I thank you for your time, and I'll let you go ahead and take care of your personal business. But we'll have to get together sometime and figure out for a part 2.
Yeah. Where are you guys located at?
We're in Kentucky.
Nice. Okay. Right.
So he lives right.
I've been out there. I've been right at what is it called? Sunland? Is there a place called Sunland, Kentucky?
Somerset.
Somerset. Yeah, there you go. Somerset, Kentucky. My ex-wife's dad built a house out there that I helped put in septic and all that stuff back in the day when I was married to her. Her dad built a house out there in Somerset, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what it was. Somerset. Yeah.
Oh, I lived in Somerset at one point.
Oh yeah, yeah, beautiful out there.
Yeah, it's a little small town, and met my high school sweetheart there. Got my little 5-minute Snapchat of fame, and everybody loved me. Went through a phase and became a horn dog, whatever. But we ain't gonna talk about that. And met some people I shouldn't have, and done some things I shouldn't have up there, and got my ass in trouble and was shipped back down home. So
right.
Yeah, it was all right though. It was all right.
Real quick, I know you said you're gonna let me go, but I got a question for you. Are you guys, either one of you, wrestlers?
No. I used to fuck around with like beating the shit on my buddies in the backyard and shit, but never really turned it into anything.
Okay, cool.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, we'll talk again.
Yes, sir.